This is a quick overview to writing a keyword outline, rough draft, final draft, and marking a structure and style checklist. To write an IEW paper, your student would look at their student book and turn to their chapter and make sure they review everything that they would need to be including in terms of structure and style. Oftentimes, the book will go over what you've learned that week, but you may have forgotten elements to include from past weeks. So this is where you would take really good notes and have your student reread them, or you would make a new checklist to help them with their structure. I've written a structure checklist for my particular class, and Unit 2, for example, it goes through each of the steps, and you'd highlight what your student is responsible, and as they write their paper, they check off each item to make sure it's included. When they get to their keyword outline, they would either write it here or on a piece of notebook paper. If you write it here, you will need to photocopy it to turn it in. If you write it on notebook paper, it will look something like this. You have all of your sentences, you have your 3 keywords, plus your abbreviations and symbols, and then you take your brainstorming page from the workbook and make sure you add in where you might like to include those brainstorming elements. And you also add in all the other stylistic and structure elements that stylistic elements that you have learned in the past to make your paragraph as full and as rich as possible. If you are using the checklist from the workbook, it is a little bit simpler. I would highly recommend second and third tour students to go ahead and write in all the other elements, or you could just use a master checklist. This is one that I've made for my class, and again, the parent highlights each of the items their student is responsible for, and as their student writes their keyword outline and includes those items in the margin, they go ahead and check it off to see how far they've gotten. So after the students have written their keyword outline and brainstormed as much as they possibly can, they move on to a rough draft, and any other elements that they did not put into the margins of their keyword outline, they would make sure to go ahead and try to write it into their sentences here, and if it still doesn't get incorporated, they would figure out a way to write them into the margins. Into the double spaces, and that's why your rough drafts are double spaced, as well as your final mark draft is double spaced, so your tutor has space to give you extra suggestions. Then you have the same thing. You write in your elements that you've learned into the margins here just to mark them, and you mark your paper. You cross out everything that you don't like, and you edit new ideas, take away old ideas, go over it with your parent on what might sound better. Maybe your parent finds something that's redundant and helps you to know maybe you should cross it out, and then you come up with even a better idea into this margin, for example. As a parent, I will go through and help correct spelling. It's not really a spelling class, so we are helping them through all of the different capitalization rules and things like that. And they write their whole rough draft, and you go over it, and you work with them and model what good sentences might sound like until the rough draft is complete. Then they go and make a final draft. The final draft can be typed or handwritten, double spaced. If you type it, I personally prefer to handwrite in the elements in the margins, because once you have handwritten it, then you turn it in, and when your tutor makes comments, you can go back to your computer, and your computer it won't have all of the things in the margins or underlines or italics or bold words that you would have to go in and change and erase. It takes away that whole step for you. So you could just make the edits that the tutor told you to make, and then just print a fresh copy right there, and you can draw a picture to go along with your story if you would like. But again, once you have your final draft, behind it you'd put your rough draft, and behind it you would put your keyword outline, and then on the very top you would have your master checklist, master structure list if you printed that on the back. And you would paper clip it together and turn it into your tutor. And your tutor would then make notes right onto the checklist or in the double spaces of your paper, because remember, it is an edit. A draft for you to edit is not a final polished draft, or they'll stick a post-it and make comments, and you would go ahead and take that home, make your final edits, print it for your polished draft, and then you're good to go.